Part 3, we came to know how the red faced foreigner, that is, the American, meets Muni. Both don't know or understand each other's language. They converse, but in reality, they are both speaking on entirely unrelated things. The American wants to know about the horse, but Muni does not understand what he is asking and starts telling him something else. After some time, Muni feels confused and turns to go away from there. Now I'll start with the explanation of part 4, children. The other seized his shoulder. The other, that is the American, caught hold of Muni's shoulder and asked him in a frustrated manner if there was no one to translate for him. So the American caught hold of Muni's shoulder to stop him from getting away from there. And he asked that if there was no one to translate for him. He wanted someone to translate his English into Tamil so that Muni would understand what he was asking. Because all the time the American was asking something and Muni was saying something else, and both were not able to understand each other. So the American wanted someone who could translate English into Tamil for Muni and Tamil into English for him. But there was no one on the road on that hot afternoon. The American pinioned. Pinioned means he caught Muni and held him tightly to stop him from getting away from there. So he pinioned Muni's back to the statue and asked him if that statue was his, then why he didn't sell it to him. Muni now understood that the American was referring to the horse. So he started saying something about his grandfather. But the American interrupted him and said that he would offer him a good price for the horse. The American had guessed that Muni was the owner, that Muni owned the horse from the way he sat on its pedestal, as if he was the owner of that statue. Muni sat on the statue in the same way as other souvenir sellers in the country sat with their goods while selling them. Here souvenir means, children, an item to remember an event or a place. Like for example, when people go to Rajasthan, they buy beautiful handicrafts from there as a token of remembrance of that particular place which they have visited. So here Muni was also sitting on the pedestal of that statue as if he was the owner and he was going to sell it. Now Muni saw that the American's eyes and fingers were towards the horse, and he understood that the American was interested in it. So he again started saying that his grandfather had told him about the horse. Now the American listened with fascination. He really admired the way Muni was talking. He really liked the way Muni spoke Tamil and wished that he had a tape recorder to record his language, which sounded so wonderful. After that, Muni started telling something else to the American. He started saying that he had never gone to a school and had to work in the fields from morning till night. When he was a little child, he had to work in the fields from morning till night. It was only when Pongal came, that is the harvest festival of Tamil Nadu came, then only his father allowed him to go and play with his friends. That is why he didn't know the American's language, that is English. So as he didn't go to school, he didn't learn English, he didn't know English. Now the American offered another cigarette to Muni. Now Muni had decided to stay there and not run away, as he was getting cigarettes from the red-faced man. Earlier he was a little bit scared and wanted to get away from there, but now as the American was offering him one cigarette after the other, he decided to stay there. Now then the American stood on the pedestal and running his finger along the carved decorations around the horse's neck, said that it was a marvelous combination of yellow and indigo, and how they, that is the people of India, got such flaming, such bright colors. He was really attracted by the bright colors on the statue of the horse. Still, Muni did not understand what the American was saying, and he went on to say that the horse was their guardian, which meant death to their adversaries. Adversaries means enemies. And at the end of Kali Yuga, when the world would be destroyed, then the Redeemer would come in the shape of a horse called Kalki. And then the horse statue will also come to life and trample. Trample means to crush under its feet all bad men in the world. The American did not understand what Muni was saying. While Muni was telling about the religious importance of the horse, the American looked at it as a decoration piece only. Now, this American was a lover of books. He was a member of 5 book clubs, and he had a huge collection of books in his living room. He said that he would push away the bookcase in order to make room for the horse. So the American had decided to take the statue of the horse back to his country and keep it in the living room and remove the bookshelf from there in order to make room for the horse. Meanwhile, Muni continued with the description of the end of the world and said that their Pandit, that is the priest at the temple, discoursed. Discoursed means having a conversation. So while the temple priest was having a conversation with the villagers, he told them how the oceans were going to swallow them, and then that horse would grow very big and carry the good people on its back and kick the evil people into the floods. Then Muni asked if the American knew when it was going to happen. The foreigner understood by Muni's tone that he had asked a question, and so he said that he was not a millionaire but a modest, that is a moderate, not very big businessman, and he traded in coffee. So Muni was asking something else, he asked something else, and not understanding what he was asking, the American started telling him about his business. Muni caught the word coffee and said that if he wanted to drink kapi, kapi is the word for coffee in Tamil. So Muni said that if he wanted to drink kapi, then he would have to drive to the next town where they open kapi hotels in the Friday market. Again, the American said that he was not a millionaire and he had a modest business, and so they couldn't afford to buy more than 60 minutes of TV time in a month, that is 2 minutes per day. This was related to the advertising of their product on television. And then the American says that when their sales graph would go up, then they would be able to sponsor a 1-hour show regularly on television. So here both of them were talking of totally unrelated things. Then the American asked Muni if he would accept 100 rupees for the horse. He would have loved to take the soldier, but there was no space for him that year. He would have to cancel his air ticket and take a boat to go back home, as he could not take the horse in a plane. And Ruth, his wife, could go by air, but he would go with the horse in his cabin. And he smiled at the picture of himself. Smiled at the picture of himself means he smiled when he imagined voyaging. Voyaging means traveling across the sea, hugging his horse statue. He also added that he would pack it up with straw so that it didn't break. He had his station wagon to take the horse away from there. The American asked Muni to lend him a hand, that is, to help him to lift the horse from its pedestal after picking out, means removing cement from the joints. He wanted Muni to help him to lift the horse from the pedestal. He said that they could do anything if they had a basis of understanding. That is, they could do things if they understood each other even a little bit. At this state, the mutual mystification was complete. That is, now Muni and the American puzzling and confusing each other with their talk was over, and both of them did not bother to know the meaning of what the other said. They just, both of them just started saying whatever came to their mind. They were not concerned now what the other was saying or what the other was asking. So Muni chattered away, that is, continued talking in a spirit of balancing the credits and debits of conversational exchange. That is, balancing what he was gaining or losing from their conversation. He said that God must have blessed the American with numerous progeny. Numerous progeny means many children. That is why he seemed to be such a good man who stopped and talked to an old man like him. Whereas earlier Muni used to sit there the whole day with no one to talk to. And now here that day the American had stopped and they had been talking for so long. Noting the other's interest, that is, when Muni saw that the other man was listening to his speech, he asked him how many children he had. And he used suitable gestures and signs using his hand while asking that question. Now, realizing that a question was being asked, the red man replied, "I said 100. Now, this is a point, children, that I find very humorous and funny. Muni asked how many children he had, and the American replied 100. So, this seems very funny. Then Muni wanted to know more about his children. After hearing so many questions that Muni wanted to know about his children, the American took out his wallet and waved a 100-rupee note and said that he meant 100 rupees. Muni now realized that the American was talking about some money. He peered. Peered means he looked closely at the note because he had never seen a 100-rupee note in his life. He knew the 5 and 10-rupee notes by their colors, but that also he saw in other people's hands. He earned very little. That is, he earned only in coppers and nickels. So children, revise the portion that I have explained today. Read this much and note down the important points.